Heyo, what's up guys? Drew back again with Princess Craft RV, and today we are going to take a look at the 2024 XPlorer 171 RDX by Riverside Campers. So coming right up, we have our electric tongue jack and our coupler right up front. Now this unit's going to ride on a 2 5/16 inch ball. Idea being is that the camper and the coupler here are going to start out about an inch higher than your ball and drop on your tow vehicle. We will center ourselves underneath the coupler here, use our electric tongue jack then to lower our coupler till it is fully seated on the ball. At that time, we can go ahead and slip our coupler lock forward here. We're going to pay special attention, making sure that both these vampire teeth are fully engaged there into the frame. Once we've done so, we go ahead and we're going to pin this back. We can either use just a standard spring clip or we can use the locking variant if security is the end game. So from there, we can go ahead and run our electric tongue jack fully up into the stowed position. Once we've done that, we're going to take our tow chains. We will cross these underneath the coupler. So it is state law in Texas that these do need to be crossed underneath the coupler. We want to make sure that we have full range so we can make our turns left to right, but not so much length that they may make contact with the pavement. So riding right next to these tow chains on the receiver is also going to be our emergency breakaway cable. Now this is a very important piece of safety equipment. This is essentially our last line of defense. If the other tow components here were to fail, as the two vehicles were to separate, this is going to act like a ripcord to the electric brake system, applying full 12-volt power to the electric brakes in the attempt to avoid like a runaway camper scenario. Real quick, the kind of rule of thumb with this is you do need a separate or third connection point on the receiver. Utilizing a quick link or a carabiner, that piece of connection equipment is not going to be included with your purchase of the unit, so you'll need to outfit yourself with that. Make sure this is free of the tow chain. Some people like to kind of snake it through. We don't want to incorporate this again into the tow chains in any sort of way. Also, riding right next to all that, we are going to have our 7-way plug here. This is going to plug into the corresponding bumper receptacle of your tow vehicle. When this is inserted fully, the door is going to fall back down behind this little piece of plastic, keeping that locked in. And if your tow vehicle is equipped with a 12-volt charge line, this will give you full function to your, it will allow you to take full advantage of your tow vehicle's charging system, braking system, as well as your like tail lights, marker lights, things like that. A couple more points here about the electric tongue jack. We do have a light that's going to give us a point of reference if we are backing up to the unit at night. We then have extend and retract here again to raise and lower that. And then further back here on the body, if we encounter any sort of power loss situation, we can go ahead and pull this little rubber plug up. We can use our 3/4 inch crank handle to manipulate this up or down, again, in the instance that we do need to either load or unload the camper in a power loss situation. The jack here is going to share that 3/4 inch commonality. That's going to be the same size that you're going to use for the stab jacks, and even the lug nuts are going to share that 3/4 inch commonality. Now, coming right back here, we have two 20-pound propane tanks. They are full for you at time of delivery. You have an open and closed service valve on the top. These are pretty standard tanks, the same variant you're going to find on any barbecue grill. In between those two tanks, you are going to have an automatic switchover regulator. So the idea being is that if you directionalize this towards any tank, we're going to consider that our primary tank. If both of these service valves are in the open position and it uses the entirety of our primary tank, it's going to automatically switch over here to our secondary tank. If in the interim we want to remove our primary tank to have it filled, we will then kind of start the whole process over, switching this little directional piece of plastic to the, which is now considered our primary tank. We would then remove our secondary tank, have that refilled, and kind of start the process all over. Now, if we want to remove all of these components here, again, to be able to service the propane tanks or remove them from the unit, we do have a T-bar setup with an oversized wing nut on the top. You unscrew that wing nut, of course, turn both of these service valves in the off position, unscrew the corresponding propane pigtail, then rotate this T-bar out of the way, and the tank is completely free to remove for service. Also, directly behind those propane tanks is we do have a brand new Interstate deep cycle battery. This is a Group 24 size battery, and it is a wet cell battery. So that's going to carry maintenance. Every 90 days, we're going to want to pull those vent panels and inspect the water level, making sure that they are full, and we are going to refill with distilled water as necessary. As we make our way here around the camper, first thing up is going to be the large front pass-through compartment. You will have a light on either side to light up that space. The switch for that light is going to be right on the lens, so you just tap on the lens. That's going to turn that light on or off. Next up is going to be our outside shower. This is going to give you access to hot and cold water. If you choose to use it in that capacity, you can get a add-on shower tent or something along those lines. Kind of in its standard form, it's good for washing off pets, or you go to the beach, rinsing off your feet, something like that. If we drop down here, we are going to see our sewer outlet connections. This is going to be where the gray and the black water are evacuated from the unit. If we look down further, we have two sets of valves. This one here closest to me is the black water valve. That's what it looks like in the open position. This is the closed position. And not going to be able to see it on the camera though. A little further up, we have our gray water valve to evacuate the gray water. Now, gray water is going to be anything that comes from the sink or the shower, and black water, of course, is going to be body waste, toilet waste, things like that. So the proper way to operate the valves is we're going to keep them in the closed position. We're going to use the monitor panel on the inside. We are only going to dump as necessary. Also, please keep in mind that these valves should never be open at the same time. That's going to be the only way to avoid any cross-contamination, backfeeding, or any of those issues. The common practice is going to be once we see on the inside using the monitor panel that our tanks are full, we will then come out here. Of course, we will hook on our sewage hose here. We're then going to pull the black water handle. Once we are fairly certain that we have evacuated that tank fully, we're going to go ahead and close off the black water handle, and then we're going to pull the the gray water handle. That's going to not only evacuate that gray water tank, but it is also going to rinse any shared plumbing between the two systems and rinse our sewage hose on the way out. A very important thing to also take into account is going to be tire pressure and lug nut torque. Now, as part of our pre-delivery inspection, these lug nuts have been torqued down to 100 foot-pounds. That is the industry standard. Every manufacturer is going to recommend a retorque procedure generally it falls within the first 100 miles of travel. What that's going to include is on the initial 10, 25, 50, and 100 miles of travel. They want you to stop at those intervals, use a click style or digital torque wrench to make sure these are, in fact, maintaining that 100 foot-pounds of torque. The manufacturer also recommends that at the start of each trip thereon after, we are again going to check and make sure that these lug nuts are going to maintain that 100 foot-pounds of torque. Now, tire pressure is also very important. With any camper or trailer tire, you run them at the max tire pressure rating. So you can find that tire pressure rating on the sidewall of the tire in its more traditional location. We can also come up to the front driver's side corner of the unit, and you will see a sticker there that is going to let you know that the tire or max tire pressure rating or tire pressure rating is going to be 50 psi. Now that's going to give us the highest flexibility in terms of weight, whether we are completely full or completely empty. That 50 psi is kind of the magic number to get the best ride. Right in front of the tire here on the driver's side, we are going to find our sewer outlet connections. If you look under here, you'll see a handle. They are color coded. One is gray and one is black. The gray being for gray water, which is going to be anything that comes from the sink or the shower, and the black being labeled black for the black water. Black water is going to be anything that comes from the toilet or your body, so body waste. When we are operating these tanks in the proper position, the blade valves are going to be closed. We're going to use the monitor panel on the inside to inspect the level of fuel, and we are only going to dump as necessary. Specifically with that black water tank, it's best practice to keep that in as wet or flowing condition as we can. That way we can effectively evacuate the tank fully. Common practice is going to be dumping our black water first. Once we are once we are sure that that black water tank, has been fully evacuated, we are then going to close off that black water valve. We will then open our gray water valve to rinse any shared plumbing and our sewage hose on the way out. Once we've done so, we close off that gray water valve and start the whole process over. Now we're also going to find our low point drains here. Now these are going to be the lowest point in the unit's plumbing. So everything in between water source and fixture is going to be drained from this location. You'll see two valves, one for hot, one for cold. The manufacturer is going to recommend that anytime the unit is going to be in storage for more than 7 days that we do evacuate all of the water from the unit. They're talking specifically about our freshwater system. So just kind of the procedure is going to be, we're going to drain the freshwater holding tank if it's been in use. We're then going to come to this location, drain our low point drains. Again, those are going to be the lowest point in the unit's plumbing. Everything in between water source and fixture is going to be drained from this location. Once we've done that, we are going to depressurize and drain the water heater, which we're going to outline later on in the video. Further down yet, we are going to find our freshwater connections. So starting right here in the middle, that's how we're going to fill the onboard water tank. We'll stick a garden hose or drinking water hose directly in there, fill it up till it overflows. Now this is not naturally pressurized, so we have a 12-volt onboard water pump that's going to pressurize that freshwater system, draw that water up from the tank to the fixtures to make it usable. You'll find that switch there on the interior of the unit. This is most designed if you are like trucking your water in, you're doing any kind of boondocking or off-grid camping, you're going to go ahead and use this freshwater holding tank and 12-volt water pump for water. And then if we're staying in the capacity of an RV park and we have access to full-time resources, we are going to go ahead and use our city water connection. Now, city water is pressurized directly from the line. More often than not, it is going to be overpressurized for our needs. We need to regulate that pressure down to a max of 50 psi. That's going to be safe, most safe for the plumbing within the unit. So what that looks like to you is you can either install your water pressure regulator here on the actual camper side of things, or you can install that at the spigot side. I generally will recommend to go on the spigot side to keep as much weight off of these plastic trailer bound connections as you can. Again, biggest thing with that is we do need to use a water pressure regulator. Next up, also, we will find our black tank flush. Now, this directly corresponds with a jet inside the black water tank, specifically designed to help blast off compounded toilet waste, body waste, things like that. Biggest thing with this is going to be when we are operating the black tank flush, we need to have our black water blade valve in the open position. The reason the manufacturer recommends that or makes that recommendation is because if you were to inadvertently get distracted and overflow that black water tank, it's actually going to fill the tank itself, and then we'll fill the rooftop septic vents, and essentially your waste water, the contents of your black water tank are then going to spill over the sides and kind of run down the camper. So very important, if we do choose to use the black water flush, or black tank flush, excuse me, we do need to have that black water valve in the open position. Further down, we have our furnace exhaust vent. This isn't really what is considered a customer serviceable unit, so there's not much maintenance. Biggest thing you can do for the appliance itself is going to be use some sort of screening material. They do sell specifically correctly sized screens for all of our propane burning appliances. We do want to make sure that we do screen those off from the intrusion of mud daubers and flying insects. Those particular insects are attracted to the smell of propane, so they will crawl up within the appliance, get as close to that flow of propane as they can. And in doing so, make the appliance inoperable. So a little bit of money up front, investing in the screening material is going to kind of save you a lot down the road for service issues. Next up here, we are going to have our cable satellite inlet. So some higher end campgrounds will offer a park cable service. This is just a standard RG6 cable fitting. This would be the inlet of those services, and they will terminate at the designated TV area of the camper. A little further down, we have our 30 amp 110 volt power supply or power inlet. This is going to be a 30 amp 110 volt connection again. What this is called is a twist lock connection. So if we take a look here, we can see that this plug is only going to be accommodated one way. We will plug that straight in. We'll give it an 1/8 inch turn to the right here. That's going to lock it in. And then your cord will have a little secondary collar here that we will screw down on these threads to make that connection watertight, keep it from potentially being disengaged inadvertently. Now, a very, very important thing to talk about, my #1 recommendation for any unit that I deliver is going to be the addition of a 30 amp surge protector. So RV parks, campgrounds are kind of known in the industry to have substandard wiring. A lot going on within these units electronically. The only way to properly evaluate that power coming in is going to be with a inline surge protector. So we here at Princess Craft have some specific products that we like to recommend. But if you have any questions regarding that, feel free to give me a call or give our parts department a call, and we can kind of educate you on the products that we recommend and how to use them. Next up is going to be our water heater. Now this appliance itself is going to be dual source. So what that means is it can either run on 110 volt electricity, or it can run on propane gas with 12 volt direct spark ignition. Before we kind of get into the recommended maintenance of the unit, I just want to point out that this is going to be another intrusion point for mud daubers or flying insects. So we will want to, again, invest in those screening material. If we go ahead and open the door here, the manufacturer of the appliance has a pretty stringent maintenance set of instructions. Because it can be dangerous when we are kind of draining or using the appliance. So when heating water, the water becomes under immense pressure. So when, again, if we're following the manufacturer's recommendation, that's going to be draining the unit completely of water if it's going to be more than 7 days. Now we saw the low point drains. Those are going to be the low point drains, and the freshwater drain are going to be stop #1. Once we've done that, we're going to come to the water heater itself. We need to make sure that we have given it enough time to cool down. Generally, I will recommend let that appliance cool overnight. Now we need to depressurize the unit before we drain the water out. So to do so, we are going to go to the hot side of any water fixture, whether that's going to be on the interior or exterior of the unit. We are going to open the hot side of that fixture. In doing so, we will depressurize the unit itself. We are then safe to fully drain it. We are going to come out here with an 1 1/8 deep socket extension and ratchet, and remove this drain plug. This drain plug is not only a drain plug, but it pulls double duty as your anode rod too. Now, an anode rod is a 12 inch by 1/2 inch, oftentimes magnesium. What that does is that captures any hard water deposits, calcification, things like that. They deposit onto that anode rod, kind of eat away at that as opposed to the inside of the water heater. Now, it is a consumable part. It will need to be replaced eventually. Generally, we recommend or see most people get a year or two, or camping season or two out of their anode rod before it needs to be changed. Again, it starts out about 3/4 of an inch by 12 inch. By the time it needs to be replaced, it's going to be about the size of a pencil, looking very decrepit, things like that. Now, on the flip side of that conversation, when we are taking the unit back out for use, it's not as simple as just replacing the anode rod and turning water onto the unit, and then there we go. What we need to do is we need to prime or pump 6 gallons of water into the unit before we choose our heat source. What that looks like is we are going to introduce an overall flow of water to the camper itself. So either hook it up to city water, pressurize that freshwater tank. Once we've done so, our anode rod's in place. Of course, before we pressurize the unit, we're going to again go to the hot side of the fixture. We're going to turn that on. What we're going to see is a little different. We're going to see, of course, more water coming from the fixture, but we're also going to see a lot more air. What it's doing is it's displacing the air within the water heater tank itself, replacing it with water. Generally, it takes about 5 minutes for that to work all of the air out. We do know that our freshwater tank is full and ready to start heating water once that flow at the fixture normalizes. That is our kind of end all be all indicator that yes, this water heater is full and we can go ahead and choose our source. Both of those sources are going to be on the inside. So they're just a flip of a switch to either heat the unit on electricity or heat that on propane gas with 12-volt direct spark ignition. So here at the rear unit, from a functionality standpoint, not much that you are going to need to know back here. We do, of course, have our tail lights, marker lights, things like that. We also have a pre-wire for the Furrion backup camera system. Basically, all the hard work was done by the manufacturer. And all you need to do is essentially purchase the camera, whether you want that 4 or 7-inch monitor, and installation is going to take you about 5 minutes because it is essentially plug and play here at the rear. Now, other than that, the unit does come with a full-size spare tire. Just a quick kind of tidbit about that. When we are changing a tire with the unit, we are going to put our jack on the axle itself, directly on the axle, as close to the tire that we're trying to change as we can without it interfering in our work. Once we've done so, we can of course go ahead, switch out the tire, lower the jack back down, and we're good to go. So basic point is going to be you're not going to find any kind of standalone jack up points on the unit. You are again going to use the axle itself. Here we are on the door side of the XPlorer. Of course, a lot to talk about. We have our awning, which will show you the functionality of that when we get to the interior of the unit. We have some exterior speakers, so if you are kind of enjoying this space, paired the awning and the exterior speakers, you can get a little party going out here. But we also have our refrigerator vent. Now, this is, again, not a customer serviceable unit. The biggest thing that we can do for the longevity of the appliance is going to be screening these in. So we're going to use those aftermarket bug screens. Now also, this is an ammonia absorption style refrigerator. So what that means for us to ensure proper operation of the appliance, we need to be within 3 degrees of level. So if we're leveling from front to back, we're going to use the tongue jack up front. And if we're leveling from left to right, we're going to use the tires and a leveling kit. I'm a big fan of using like a small, 6-inch, 12-inch, small level, sticking it into the freezer itself of the refrigerator and then leveling my camper to the refrigerator, since it's very important that the appliance is level. Now, other than that, I would kind of remove this vent panel here. I would do that as part of our 90-day inspection of the unit and kind of just take a look in here, make sure nothing's gotten in there. Number one, you don't see any frayed wires or anything like that. Just give it a visual inspection. And then when we replace the door, we put the bottom side first, so there's some tabs that fit in, and then we kind of make sure that we line up these little latches, and it can be a little bit difficult, but once we are sure that we are fully seated, we then can either use our finger here, we can use a flat bladed screwdriver, or a quarter works as well. We're just going to go ahead and lock this down. And then once we've done so, we are going to go ahead and pull on it, make sure that we are not going to be able to remove that, make sure that it's not going to like blow off going down the road. I have replaced a lot of these because they were not properly installed before making our way down the road. So that just about covers the exterior here of the XPlorer 171 RBX. Hang with us while we take a look at the features and functions on the interior. Here we are right inside the doorway. We will find our convenience center here. Now this is going to give us functionality to lights, awning, water heater controls here, water pump, and then our tank monitors here. So starting with the tank monitors, we can go ahead and look here, and they have it spelled out in a kind of empty 1.5, 2/3 full. And when we push either gray, black, galley, or fresh, we can go ahead and see that the lights correspond with, again, the level of full. We can also evaluate our battery here at this location. Now, just a quick tidbit about that. The battery is going to always read full if we are plugged into shore power. To get an accurate reading, we need to unplug from shore power, and then we can go ahead and evaluate the battery condition here. Next up, we have our awning lights here. So that's going to correspond with an LED strip that runs the full length of the awning. I'll turn that on or off here. And then we have our convenience light. Essentially is just a common switch that you can hit within the unit that's going to light it up enough to fully walk in the unit and then turn on the rest of the lights as we wish. So coming back here to the panel, we will see our water heater and water pump controls. That water pump, again, is going to be used for off-grid camping scenarios where we have trucked our water in. We're going to use the water pump to pressurize that freshwater system, bring that water up to the fixtures to make it usable. And then we have our water heater sources, starting with the gas water heater here. We go ahead and flip that switch. This fault light's going to come with it. Now, how the appliance works is it does cycle 3 times, or tries to light 3 times, and if it does not light by the end of that 3rd cycle, it's going to illuminate this fault light full time. It'll stay on, and the appliance itself will quit trying to light. In the event that that happens, the cause of it is generally you have forgotten to open the propane bottles up front. Maybe you have inadvertently ran out of propane, but you know, if that happens, we'll inspect those 2 things. If we have propane in the tank and the valve is open, oftentimes the gas itself has not made its way through the empty line to the appliance itself. We will flip this switch off, flip it back on. It will go through another lighting cycle. And generally, as long as we've corrected the issue, it's going to light on the first try of that 2nd cycle. Then next up, we have our electric water heater here. That's going to be the 110 volt heating element within the water heater. You can use both sources at the same time. That's going to give you the highest recharge rate. Next, in terms of efficiency, is going to be gas, and then lastly is going to be electric there. And then lastly, we have our awning retract and extend here. Now this is a momentary switch, so idea being is that you would have the door open, you would be looking at the awning to be able to tell when it's fully extended. And if you, again, you know, you don't, there's no rule that says you have to either have the awning fully out or fully in. You can, you know, kind of follow the sun through the sky during the day if you'd like. Now, these awnings are meant for light duty. Essentially, they do not hold up well to the wind. If you are questioning if it is too windy to run out your awning, then it probably is in fact too windy. So they're very expensive, very light by design. Just make sure that we are taking care when operating them and the times that we choose to do so. Now over here we have our drive stereo unit. This is going to be Bluetooth, AM/FM radio. You have HDMI, USB, and auxiliary cable in. Only real thing to mention here is your zones. You have 2 zones of speakers. Zone 1 is going to be the interior, and zone 2 is going to be the exterior. Now you control the volume separate on each zone. So if we're trying to use zone 1, which is the interior, we will turn the volume up there. If we're trying to use both, then we can control common volume. And then if we are going to try and use zone 2 only for exterior, we can of course control that separate as well. As we see, we have our dinette area here. This also does make a secondary sleeping area. So you have these 2 pedestals supporting the table itself. If we separate the tabletop from the support legs here and then remove the support legs from the flange on the floor, this is all friction fit essentially, so you do just need to kind of wiggle them out of position. Once we've done so, we've got those support legs out of the way. We're going to move the cushions away slightly. We're going to set the tabletop here on these little black bumpers. We're then going to take the rear of the cushions here and place those over the tabletop to go ahead and fill out that space. Perfect sleeping area for some kids or even some small adults. Now back behind the dinette here, we have a nice large storage cabinet. Just a very efficient use of space that gives you a nice open compartment to store maybe food or goods in there. And then into the kitchen area further, we can see a little bit more over sink storage. Microwave. Microwave is going to function just like any other microwave you found. Does have a turntable. A lot of people like to remove that when they're going down the road to keep it from potentially breaking. But standard microwave controls here. And then we do have a light and fan there on the overhead cooktop. And if we again take a look here at the gas style stove here, we can see our sparker igniter here. We have control over each one of the burners here, and then lastly our oven control is going to be here. So the idea being is that we can turn this to light and click that clicker, and we can see that the burners do all light up. And then if we are lighting the oven here, we're going to light a pilot light by holding this in. Then we rotate this. If we need to open the oven or bend down to see if that pilot light is lit, then we will go ahead and go through the temperatures here and set it to our liking. Make sure we turn all those off. Turn the lights on, or turn the lights off, excuse me. Nice large sink here, single bay sink or single tub sink. Stainless steel, nothing too crazy to bring up about that. Again, a little bit of storage here under the sink. And then lastly, we have our furnace blower motor down here on the floor. Now, all of the heat within the unit is going to come from that central location. So just keep that in mind. It's not like the unit's going to be ducted or we have kind of pass-through heating. All of your heat is going to come from this central location, and the furnace is controlled through the thermostat. So a single thermostat for both AC and furnace control. So right inside the unit here, we have our designated kind of TV area. This particular unit was not built with a TV or does not come standard with a TV. If we are installing a TV, we just want to make sure that we're installing it where the sticker's mounted here for the backer plate. And then the unit does also have an omnidirectional digital over-the-air antenna on the rooftop. That's going to automatically, if we do a channel search, it's going to seek out the best signal possible and bring in digital television dependent on that signal. Now to power that up, we need to just depress this little button here. We should see a little green light. And again, that's going to, idea being is that once we're fully hooked up, we see the green light, we do a channel search, and we can go ahead and bring those channels in. And then coming kind of around here on the wall, we see our, our refrigerator. This is a two-way refrigerator, meaning it runs on 110 volt electricity, as well as propane gas with 12 volt direct spark ignition. Here we can see the controls. We have a main on-off switch, and then we have a gas button here. So normal operation is going to be with that button in the depressed position. That'll put us here into auto mode. When we're in auto mode, it's going to prefer 110 volts. If at any point that 110 connection is interrupted, it's going to automatically start lighting on gas or trying to light on gas. Now, if we're in a situation where we're going down the road, we specifically want it to run on gas with no automatic or preferential for gas to electricity, then we need to go ahead and depress this switch or leave it in the up position. You'll see the lights disappear. That's going to put us into gas mode. Now, other than the position of the switch here, there is no indicator that we are actually running the appliance on gas. So if it, unless it fails to light, and then it's going to illuminate this check light. Oftentimes it'll give you an audible tone as well. Oftentimes, again, kind of a similar scenario to the water heater where just will take a little bit longer than little longer than you may expect for the gas to actually reach the burner of the unit and actually light. Other than that, again, just two buttons of operation. We can go ahead and take a look here at the refrigerator. Ton of space. Other than that, when we are storing the unit, specifically closing the unit down, we need to make sure that this stays open. We don't want to fall out that refrigerator and freezer with the door closed. It's going to develop mildew and things like that. Manufacturer has provided these cool little clips here. The way they work is they essentially you just pull the handle out a little bit, You can go ahead and slip that in and then go ahead and attach it there. That's going to again keep that refrigerator door from closing. You have two of those clips, one for the freezer, one for the refrigerator. Here we find the converter. Now what this is going to do is going to kind of be the junction box of all of our 110 volt and 12 volt appliances, and we'll see the fuse locations and breaker locations for those, but also it's going to intake your take your 110 volt electricity, essentially switching it over to 12 volts then to operate the bulk of the 12 volt appliances within the unit. Now this is an automatic switch over regulator, so it is lithium compatible. It's going to, if you were to upgrade the lead acid batteries to like a lithium battery, this will ensure that you are using that slightly higher charge rate that lithium needs. We can see this little sticker here that's going to indicate that it is an auto detect. Furthermore, we have all of our 12 volt appliances on this side protected by different size automotive blade style fuses. Not a bad idea to pick up a variety pack of fuses, keep them with the unit in case one of these were to burn out while out camping. And then we have our 10 volt resettable light switch style breakers, just like at home. This is going to be the main power, and then all of our 110 accessories fused at this location also. Here we have our solar charge controller. Now this corresponds with the solar setup there on the roof. Biggest thing with this is going to be when everything's hooked up and working properly, this is going to be an information center for us. I know we don't have it connected right now. This is going to not only tell us the status of our battery in terms of voltage, like how full our battery is, it's also going to let us know how many amps we're taking in via solar and translate that essentially to amp hours. Other than that, again, not much control over it. It's kind of an always on system. It's going to intake energy as necessary. Once those batteries are full, this is smart enough to not overcharge. So pretty much kind of behind the scenes solar. And then down below that, we have our thermostat for both our air conditioning and our furnace. Now, if we go ahead, take a look here, we have our mode button. First up is going to be fan speed. So let me start over here. So fan, and we can use this to go ahead and, so this one's going to adjust our fan speed. And if we hit the mode one more time, well, that's going to take us into air conditioner. We can use this to set our temp up and down, where of course snowflake indicates we are in air conditioner mode. And then this is going to be our fan speed as well. You can see here, once we're actually into it, we have different options. We'll want to kick this into auto. What that's going to do is allow the fan to correspond with the thermostatic temperature here. If not, once we were potentially to reach 62 here, that blower motor or that fan is going to continue to run. Now, if we hit that mode button one more time, that's going to take us here into the furnace mode. So you'll hear that blower motor kick on immediately. 16 seconds after that, it's actually going to go start trying to ignite. By that 30-second mark, it's going to either be emitting smell or you'll notice it producing heat. And then oftentimes within these units, the size of them and within the first 15 minutes of operation, the furnace itself, the efficiency rating is going up. Basically what I'm getting at is that it is totally acceptable or normal operation for within that first 15 minutes of operation for the furnace to set off the unit's smoke alarm here right above my head. Again, if that happens within the first 15 minutes of operation, that's totally normal or considered normal per the manufacturer of the appliance itself. Now, a further word about the smoke alarm, carbon monoxide detector, both of those appliances need to be inspected and checked every single time we take the unit out. Same with our fire extinguisher, which is to the right side of the door. We're going to want to make sure that that still has pressure in it. We're going to check the date, make sure that it hasn't expired, things like that. We want to do an inspection of our safety equipment, again, every single time we take the unit out. Still talking about safety equipment here, we can see our RV, carbon monoxide, and propane leak alarm or detector. So again, just like the smoke alarm or just like any smoke alarm, this is going to have a test button on that. If we were to push that, it's going to confirm that it is in good working order with an audible tone, again, very much like a smoke alarm. Now, this is wired into the 12 volt section of the camper, so there's no battery that needs to be changed or anything like that. Our smoke alarm is going to take a 9 volt battery. my recommendation, keep a 9-volt battery on board in case in the middle of the night that starts indicating to us that it has a low battery. And again, just to kind of beat a dead horse, we need to test our safety equipment every single time we take the unit out. So in this particular unit, they have separated the actual bathroom, which contains the toilet, bathroom, sink, and then they have put the shower here kind of in this common space. Kind of a smart move, you know, dividing them by this hallway. Only real thing to bring up about the shower is going to be, we do have on-off at the actual head. So idea being is that we're not going to kind of waste water. You have 6-gallon capacity, or 6 gallons of hot water. And that goes pretty fast in real world. So what you're going to do is you'll find yourself doing like a military Navy style shower where you are getting your body wet, cutting off the water here with this little switch. That way we don't have to constantly change it here at the valve. You know, then we'll lather up, rinse off, so on and so forth, turning this on and off then to go ahead and conserve water consumption, specifically hot water consumption, as we know it. Here in the main restroom portion of the unit, we have a light switch right here inside the door that's going to take care of the overhead light. Also, you have a switch directly on the fixture if you're inclined to use it. Now we do have a max air exhaust fan. So this is going to be normal position. This handle will be locked. We will pull it down slightly towards us until we hear that pop. Once we've done so, we can go ahead and rotate this handle to open the vent itself. And then we have our on-off switch here. We do have 3 speeds for that fan. And if I go ahead and push the button here, we can see the the different fans. Now this goes up and it does get quite a bit of speed for circulation. This is going to be an exhaust only fan. So this is designed to draw any air, smells, things like that out from this area. Now when we're going down the road or we're packing up, closing the vent, we do need to make sure that's fully closed and then locked by pushing that handle up towards the roof of the unit. Also down here we have our standard pedal flush style toilet. We'll see here on my side we have the pedal flush. If we give that a light press, that's going to go ahead and fill up the bowl. If we give it a full flush there, again, that's going to actually flush the toilet. Now, word about kind of the products that we need to be using here in our Blackwater system. We are going to first off use single ply RV grade toilet paper. That's the very most important thing. And then we will, at the basic level, need to use a chemical deodorizer and enzymatic product to help break down that waste. To go further than that, paired well with our black tank flush, we can go ahead and use sensor cleaner, deep cleaners for that black tank. Now generally the manufacturer of those specific products recommends you use them once you already have a problem. But from doing this for as long as I have, I would recommend you to essentially use those products from day one. So the biggest kind of solution to those problems is getting behind them before you actually have a problem. So when it comes to the cleanliness of our sensors, Blackwater tank, things like that, we need to start from day one, kind of deep cleaning them, constantly using our black tank flush, things like that, to keep them in good working order. So here in the master bedroom of the unit, we of course see our bed. Now on each side of the bed, we are going to have USB chargers as well as 110 volt outlets to power any kind of CPAPs or charge phones or anything like that. Above, we have our headlight here. Again, switches directly on the fixture itself. And then ultimately we have quite a bit of underbed storage as well. So we can lift that up and see the amount of storage that we have there. That paired with the closets on either side of the bed should give you plenty of space to go ahead and stow your gear. Kind of turning around here, we're going to see our egress window. Now this is our emergency exit, covered by the same shades. So we have these projector style shades throughout the unit. Every window is equipped with them. And then in normal operation, this window is going to differ with the fact that it is opened by this handle here. So again, in normal operation, we can go ahead and pull this out, and these like to get a little stuck sometimes. So we'll make sure that they are kind of free, in the event that we encounter some sort of emergency, we don't want to sit here and kind of fight with a stuck window seal. So that's kind of the normal open position window if you were going to go ahead and use it, not being an emergency. And then if we do encounter any sort of emergency, we can go ahead and yank the screen out of the window, and this window, being an egress window, is going to kind of fully open like a doggy door to allow you to exit the window from this location. Also, just wanted to point out the ability to add a secondary TV here in the master bedroom. You're going to have the wall plates as well as the backer here in the center of the wall. I just wanted to go ahead and demo the operation here of the windows. Now, this is going to be the same for most of the windows in the unit, with the egress, fire emergency, exit window being slightly different, but we'll get to that later. All of these, I call these the style, kind of school bus style windows. You have a little spring latch here, so if you lift up on that guy and pull over, you'll see we can open the window. The screen usually will come with it, and we can just slide that back into place there. And then when we're closing the window, we do just want to make sure that we fully close it. So we hit this position, and then we actually need to lift that up and fully push it over here. Now also we're going to see the projector style shades here. The pull string is going to be on this side, but if we go ahead and pull it down, we can really kind of choose where we put that pull string, I should say. And then just like a projector, you pull past your stopping point, it's going to lock in. And then if we want to retract it up, we just do the very same thing. All right, y'all, thank you so much for sticking with us to the end. That just about wraps up our tech tour on the XPlorer 171 RDX by Riverside RV. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for your time. Have an excellent day.